Hi, fourth graders. Welcome to your asynchronous lesson for reading this week. I'm just going to run through it really quick. So you have watched the video with Mr. Carl and learned that sometimes books can help you figure out life lessons. And sometimes we have to notice the struggles that the characters in our books are facing. And then we think, what's the character learning? And maybe what can I learn? What's a life lesson for me that I could learn from this book? And so sometimes we think, what's the character learning from this? What might be struggles that lots of us have, like the character? And what lesson might the author be trying to teach me? So for your work plan, you're going to read your book, whatever your book is. I've got some books lying around here. Whatever your fiction book is that you're reading at the moment, could be a book like this, or it could be a picture book, whatever it is that you're reading, just read, read, read. But find a place in the book where your character is struggling. They've got a problem. How does the author try and ease the struggle or make it better? And then look for the lesson. What's the character learning? And then what am I learning when I see the character learning? Is there a lesson, a life lesson, or a theme that the struggle that the character's having shows? And then what I want you to do is record what you noticed in your reading, like the theme or lesson. And I'm going to show you what it looks like because I've been reading this book again, The Empty Pot, that I talked about in the last week. And so in this one here, if you can remember, the emperor needed to choose a new emperor, and he gave all of the children in the land a seed and said, whoever grows the best flower will be the next emperor. And Ping is actually a really good gardener, but he cannot grow the seed. And I'm just going to read you this page because this is the bit that's the struggle. Ping was ashamed of his empty pot. He thought the other children would laugh at him because for once he couldn't get a flower to grow. Here is the struggle. He is ashamed. It's time to take the flowers to the emperor to see who's going to be. And his friend is running by going, Ping, you're not going to go to the emperor with an empty pot, are you? Couldn't you grow a great big flower like mine? And Ping says, I've grown lots of flowers better than yours. It's just that this seed won't grow. Ping, now remember that sometimes when there's a struggle, the author tries to make it better. So here is where I think the author tries to make it better. Ping's father overheard this and said, you did your best. And your best is enough to present, is good enough to present to the emperor. So the author's trying to ease the struggle a little bit. So Ping's struggle is that he's ashamed because his effort isn't very good. The author tried to make it better, ease the struggle by his dad encouraging him. And then actually, you know the end of the story. The emperor says, I admire Ping's great courage to appear before me with the empty truth. And now I reward him with my entire kingdom and make him emperor of all the land. So Ping was honest. Even though he was ashamed, he actually starts to cry in front of the emperor and says, I really tried, but it wouldn't sprout. And he says at the end, so today I had to bring an empty pot without a flower. It was the best I could do. So now when I'm looking at the end here about what I learned, I could say something like this. A theme of this part of my story is courage, because Ping struggled with feeling really ashamed of his efforts. He was kind of embarrassed and upset. And it was solved because he was honest about it and he told the truth and he said, well, this is my best. Even though it's not what I wanted, it's the best that I could do. And he was honest about it and he was brave, even though he was kind of ashamed. And the lesson of the story is that's the right thing to do. He was rewarded for that. His dad encouraged him to do it. And the emperor said, yeah, I'm looking for someone who's going to be honest and brave. Those are exactly the qualities I need for an emperor, not somebody who's going to lie and bring a different flower like all the other children did. So I think that's a life lesson. Be brave and honest, even if things are a bit hard for us. Does that make sense? So that's my example from my story, and I'd love to hear, and Mrs. Hawkins would love to hear your examples from your stories. Okay,